I should be live on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I should be live on YouTube. Let me just double check and let's just get into it, guys. Let's get into it. Yeah, let me just go to my stream so that I can actually see the actual Facebook. Where is the link? Trying to find the link to Facebook. Sorry, to YouTube. So we got one person looking. Look, last night what we did was we did a let me just get onto Facebook. We've always got to start YouTube first, and then Facebook comes in afterwards. So last night we did a really good strategy session, basically just, you know, a wrap up of the week for the ICO Gold Rush members. And last night the webinar went for just under 2 hours. It just flew by. So it was I think it was a really good session because what I did was I walked through evaluating an ICO, which is, you know, important. I mean, this is all in the course anyway, but just to see me do it live, I've done 2 in the course over the shoulder, but it wasn't live. This one was live, and I broke down exactly my thought process and how I assess these ICOs, because at the end of the day, how you assess it is, and how you evaluate it is really the most important part. Hi James, how are you? How you going, buddy? So really that's the most important part, because I mean, you're putting money into this ICO, right? You want to make sure that it's really, really important. I don't think that this stage of the game where you're looking at the ICO and you're evaluating it this stage should not be outsourced, because I'm getting to the point now where I just can't keep up. I'm not I have too many I've got so many ICOs, I can't keep up with them all. And I've dropped everything. You know what I mean? I do this full time now. I don't have a job. Here we go. I don't have a job. I do this live and I'm struggling just to keep up. Okay, now I can see some people. Okay, hi Mohammed. Hi Sohaib. Hey Garth. Hey Gordon. Okay, yeah, cool. So I'm struggling to keep this up now because I like to keep on top of things, obviously, you know, make sure that everything is there. Hi, Brian. No, Brian, no. We don't auto-evaluate because just going back on my whole point, this is the part that you do not want to auto-evaluate, okay? If you auto-evaluate, you're going to set yourself up for big losses. Okay, so this part of the process cannot be outsourced. Everyone wants a quick fix. Everyone wants, you know, hit a couple of buttons and then money falls from the sky. And Brian, I'm not having a go at you, mate, because I see you come on these webinar on these live streams a lot, and you know you do spend a lot of time tuning in. So I do appreciate that. But I guess it's just a question generally. It's a good question. And generally speaking, in anything, like for everyone out there that's, you know, thinking, how do we automate this process? I don't think you should automate it. Maybe we could look at automating parts of it, but there are critical parts of assessing an ICO which cannot be automated. You're throwing money into this, right? And you're relying on tools that possibly that I could get a programmer to create down the track, that can pull data in from different streams, right? But it's still not going to be accurate. It's still going to have to check it. Maybe we could make the process a little bit simpler, but I really don't feel that it will be automated. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, Brian, probably could semi-automate it, maybe. Pull the data in, but the data that still needs to be referenced and still needs to be double-checked and triple-checked, because if it's wrong and it pulls in and says you got 1 billion tokens, I mean, it pulls in and says you got 10 million tokens, right? And then you're like, holy cow, there's 10 million tokens, they're only 5 cents each. This one's a home run. And then you find out later it's 10 billion, you're going to do your dough, okay? So this is really critical, that needs to be cross-referenced. Yeah, look, we'll definitely look at something down the road, but I think it has to be manually checked by yourself. I mean, you could hire someone. I'm seriously thinking about hiring a VA, but even then, maybe you could hire a VA to get the information, but then again, you're gonna have to check their work. So, you know, what's the point? I mean, you're gonna spend, a VA can do it, and then you're gonna have to spend another 15 minutes verifying everything. So what's the point? You could have just gone through the process yourself. But there is ways of automating it, or semi-automating it, which is, you know, a good point, bro. But look, at the end of the day, you're putting money into it, and I'll put in, you know, 20 Ether or multiple ICOs, and I don't really want it to be automated. I mean, you know, you're putting 20 Ether, $6,000 into an ICO, and you're going off the fact that, you know, it's been automated. Would you trust that? I certainly wouldn't. But great question, Brian. Excellent question, mate. VA, a virtual assistant. Okay, so VA is a virtual assistant. I might check that maybe. So it might cost me $300 a month to get a virtual assistant, but I think that's money well spent, because the tasks that I'll get the VA to do are non-critical, which is all the busy work, right? Which is what I'm finding, and you guys will get to the point that there's a lot of busy work that needs to be done, and it can be outsourced, because there's so many ICOs launching now, right? So we got a coin schedule. There's so many ICOs. You cannot keep up with them. I mean, I can't keep up with them. I just pick the best ones that look good, and then make a short list. Okay, so and this is what Ralph has done. He's done a great. What he does is he just looks at the certain criteria that he's pointed out for himself. You know, so for him is he wants to make X amount by X amount, and he needs to flip. So he has a set criteria, and he just looks at each ICOs, and he goes and pulls that information, which can be found fairly quickly. And then he, if it doesn't meet that criteria, it moves on, which is, I think it's an excellent choice. So what he's done is he's already set his goals, what he wants from ICOs from the beginning, and then he's not lost. He has a plan. He's going to stick with that plan, and I think that's a fantastic way to approach it. Come in with your own strategy of like, okay, I've got $1,000 and I want to turn that $1,000 into $5,000 by the end of the year. What do I need to do? I need to flip them fast, and I need a certain criteria that's going to be able to meet that expectation, right? And there's ones out there that will be able to flip fast. There's ones out there that you can't flip fast. So obviously we know what this criteria is inside the ICO Gold Rush course, and you can approach it that way. If you want to do long-term hold, you can do that too. But it's all about setting what your goals are in the beginning, and then you're not like a headless chook. And most of the people that are going to be coming into ICOs are going to be headless chooks, because they have no plan, they have no idea on what's going on, and they're just going to be throwing money at the wind, and then sooner or later, after many losses, they'll figure it out, right? They'll figure it out. So yeah, we had a great session last night. I felt that it was just a really, when you finish and you go, oh, okay, I thought that I accomplished something and people got value. I felt that was last night. I mean, the first webinar was great too, but this one was different because I did the evaluation real time. So I asked the people on the panel, give us an ICO and let's get into it. Let's assess it. Let's evaluate it. So one of our members, Garth, he suggested we do an ICO, and we got down to the nitty gritty and discovered that it was actually a good ICO. It already raised, surprisingly, like over $10 million, which is very surprising because it only launched a couple of days ago. Very low-key type of ICO. I mean, I knew it was out, but it just didn't really get any big media attention. And it already raised like over $10 million, which is, I was quite blown away. But then when we, pull the skin back and really looked underneath the hood, it was a good ICO, but it was very competitive in the space that it was in. So we decided, what I then did was I just went around to the panel and get their different views. This is really interesting too, because I'm learning from this process as well. But this is really one of the keys to when you have a community with the ICO Gold Rush community, right? So I evaluated this ICO. Not everyone's going to evaluate it slightly different depending on what they think. Okay, the right answer is always how you evaluate it. Now I'm very I don't like to give people big raps unless they're big deal. So I only gave the idea a good idea. I didn't give it an excellent idea. But the team was an all-star team, right? And I don't like giving all-star recommendations for the team, and they got to be they've got to be extraordinary for them to get an all-star. They're going to be special, and these guys were special. So that's what they had going for it. But it still didn't rate that high, so we decided to go around the room and see what people's opinions were, and just keep in mind as well, put yourself in that position where you're going to invest money in this, okay? And it was interesting because we got some, one person said that it was just had technical issues. Another person said they're going to pass because it just doesn't meet their criteria. There was better ICOs out there. Another person said they're just not interested in that ICO because of the niche that it was in. You know what I mean? So there was many feedbacks, and I thought it was really good to get that feedback, and also by watching the people, they're watching the replay, which will be up soon. Then people can then watch that process again and know exactly the thought process behind it, and then other opinions on it, because there's going to be angles that you're not going to think of yourself. So you're going to get the valuable input from other people, as well as you evaluating yourself. And this is really important because there's going to be different aspects that you don't think of, which could potentially be hazardous, or there could potentially be an area where the ICO could just, it could be borderline, but then you decide to invest in it because you found out more information on something which you didn't know, which you got that information from, the community. So basically, if you're trying to do this all by yourself, I mean, you can do that. But if you've got many minds all giving you input and feedback on that particular ICO, you're going to learn a lot more about it, okay, on areas that you're not experienced in. And by gaining this knowledge from other people, you're gonna build your knowledge faster and make better decisions. All right, this is important. So yeah, it was a great session, and there were some key things that we discussed, which are also sort of kind of hurdles for people as well. Because people, don't forget, people are, you know, they're still working a day job, and they still they have to go to work the next day. So they're limited by time. I don't think people are just lazy, they're just limited by time. And obviously once they start to see results, then they put more time to it, okay? So most of the people in ICO Gold Rush are just starting off, and they've just invested in a couple. Some people are invested in quite a bit, but they haven't cashed out yet, because it takes about a month or 2 months for them to cash out. All right, so that's just normal, because you go into an ICO, it launches, you buy tokens, and then it's got to finish. Either they'll give you the token straight away, or you have to wait a certain time after the token finishes. Just depends on the ICO. But then they've got to get them listed. Now you can get them on some small exchanges, but really they have to go on multiple exchanges, and they have to go on big exchanges, and then you can cash out. So this is really important. It's something that we discussed last night, because I mean, you're there to make money. You want to cash out, right? You want to cash out. This is important. So yeah, it's an evolving space, and as you can see here, I'm on Coin Schedule. Go to coinschedule.com. You can see the ICOs that they've given gold rating, silver rating, and then you got these ICOs that are coming up. Have a look at these ICOs that are coming up, right? These are sort of, actually no, sorry. All these ICOs here are just ICOs that are already going through the process of being, they're already open, right? And they're already going through the process of being funding, right? This is the funding process, right? That's just the funding process there. These are the upcoming ones here, okay? And this is just one site. So as you can see, it's going to get crazy, guys. That's why I'm thinking about getting a VA. So this is another one, ICO Drops. It's a good site. All right, ICO Drops. Again, look at the ICOs. This is nuts, guys. Look at all the ICOs launching. You're gonna and then if you go on another site, there's ICOs on this site that are not onto another site. So there's a multitude of ICO sites, which I show you in the course to go to. I found about 15 sites. So there's so many ICOs out there, it's crazy. And you got to really know what you're doing, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of money. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Brian's got 4 ICOs now. Fantastic, mate. Great effort. So yeah, Brian, you're actively doing it, and yeah, it's just initially in the beginning, it's it's sort of, you're investing in these ICOs, you're not cashing out but just keep on doing it, keep on carefully assessing the ICOs. Don't just get into any ICO because it's hyped or anything like that, unless it's a big deal. I mean, we got into a big one. I don't know if you got into the big one last a couple of days ago. I mean, that was big. Okay, so the hype was justified, because it literally it sold out very quick in the first day. But it just be more selective in your process is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I think about 14 or 15. I don't have to look. 12, 13, or 14, or 15. I think. So I'll have to have a look at my portfolio. But yeah, I'll get to a point now which I'm starting to cash out, because it's getting towards like nearly the 2-month mark. Because I started investing in July, but what I can say is the ICOs are one ICO. There's a couple of ICOs I agree on, and I held. I should have sold them, but you learn. And there's another one there which I've already made 100% profit on. I'm just waiting for the rest of the tokens. I sold 75% of my tokens at 100% profit. I've got a quarter of them left, so I'll put a sell order. All right, so those of you guys that are not sure about sell orders, right? So what we're doing is we're buying the ICOs at the ICO stage. This is the biggest risk, but then it's the biggest payoff. All right. So what we're doing is we're carefully sifting through the ICOs and buying them. So the ICO is basically like a Stratus or a Neo or a Ethereum. When the project first gets up and running, one of the ways to fund it is what they call through initial coin offerings. That's when we're buying it, when it's just getting created, right? Now, obviously, it's the biggest risk. So we assess the ICO, and we've got the criteria there to show people what's the best outcome for success, depend on data that we find. So it's like homework for each one. And initially, when you first start, it feels like homework. But trust me, once you start turning them over and you start making money, it's not homework. It's like you can't wait to do it. Obviously, right? Obviously, you're trying to find your next big nugget, right? You're like, damn, I can't wait to do it. I love homework. Damn, I never did homework in school, but I love doing it now because it's going to make me money, right? That's what it's about, So I can't wait to do it. I don't see assessing ICOs as a thing where it's laborious and it's like, oh, I got to do this. Right now, it might seem that because you haven't got any tangible results, okay? But just trust me on this, okay? Once you make your first profit from it, and what did it take? Maybe half an hour assessing an ICO, which we already give you, or you can get to see my portfolio. Assess it for yourself, maybe 15 or half an hour. All right, you invest in some money, and then that's it. Then when you got your tokens, you cashed out. I mean, that's the process. So, when you're talking, you're doing this multiple times, or like an ICO that I went in recently, and I put in 20 Ether, and I'm hoping at least a minimum 5x to that. I think it'll 10x, but other people have said it'll 20x. So what did I do? When I think it's going to be profitable, I just don't. It's definitely going to be profitable because this is a big deal. But I just don't know how profitable it's going to be. But that's pretty much the process. Researching it, buying into it, putting money into it, and then cashing out and getting paid. Like, that's how difficult is it? So, but again, it's doing the proper assessment and evaluation is where you lose your money. That's where you pretty much do your dough or you don't. It's true assessment. So it's important that you do it. And once you find these gems, and there's a couple of gems that I've found, which I've done the evaluation and other people aren't talking about it. And I'm just like, this is crazy. The numbers are so good. I can't believe people are not doing it. One ICO which was really kind of low key, and there's already two ICOs. There's one ICO in the market, one launched and it's not being successful, and this one is very similar. But the token count's out of this world. Like, the token count is so freaking low, it's ridiculous. So I got into that thinking it's not going to be a big deal. It's pretty low key. Not many people know about it. They already had 3 successful businesses. The prototype, I think it's on its way. Pretty much the team and the advisors weren't an issue because they'd already have 3 successful products with hundreds and thousands of users. And I'm like, this is gold. Then I thought, okay, this is going to be one of those ones that not people are going to know about. And then within like the first couple of days, the pre-sale sold out. The pre-sale sold out. And I was like, oh shit, I totally, I should have just got into the pre-sale. But then I was lucky. I just got into, I got the last 14 Ether on that one. So I was just lucky because when the pre-sale went on, as soon as it hit 0, I sent my Ether and I got in. which is amazing. I don't know how I did it. So it's these gold, these nuggets that you're gonna find, and it's exciting too, guys, because once you start making money with it, then it's not a job. It's like you honestly, you can't wait to do it. You get excited, you get pumped up, right? Because it's like finding gold, and the next one you find, it's like, damn, I'm gonna make some money with this, you know. So that's the way I see ICOs. So if you're just still if you're in the group or you're not in the group, you know, either way, it doesn't matter. Just know that that when you initially do it, you haven't seen any results yet. Just keep going, because you get to the point where the ICO will stop soon, then you can cash out, and that's the fun part. When you cash out, you can make some money. That's the fun part. So just keep going. You'll be fine. Hey Ennis. Hey Sean. Awesome. Yeah, Sean, you would have got. I don't know what you got your tokens for. You would have got it cheaper than the pre-sale, because Power Ledger is tanking, and meaning it's slowing down, and just for people that are in different, you know, parts of the world, and Power Ledger's main ICO is based on the investors, so total amount of tokens divided by the investors gives you the token price. I think that's how it's going. So by the main ICO, this is not how the pre-sale. The pre-sale was 8.8 cents. Meaning, what happened with Power Ledger is all the buyers got into the pre-sale, right? All the buyers got into the pre-sale. Power Ledger is still a good deal. I'm not complaining. All right, as you know, you probably know now, right? I got into this big, and so Power Ledger's raised $17 million in the pre-sale, and the tokens were 8.8 cents. So, but then they changed their terms, and now the main sale is based on the investors divided by the tokens, I believe. So in other words, if what they thought was the main sale was going to bring in a lot more people, but it's drying up. I wouldn't say the investors as such as the ICO investors are drying up, because we saw, like, look at Filecoin, 257 million, Bancor, EOS, probably the biggest flop so far. That was like 180 million or 150 million. So the investors' money is in the space. They just didn't invest into Power Ledger, which is, I don't know why. Power Ledger is an awesome ICO. They just did a partnership with Origin Energy, right? For those of you that don't know what Origin Energy is, Origin Energy is one of the biggest suppliers of power in Australia. They're one of the big three, I think. There's Energex, Origin, there's a couple of others. Anyway, they've just hooked up with Power Ledger, and they're doing a trial for their system. They'd already had an alpha anyway. They'd already done a pre-trials prior, but now Origin have jumped on board. This is massive, guys. This is one of the biggest energy providers, electricity providers in Australia, have hooked up with Power Ledger to test their blockchain energy distribution system. You know what I mean? This is massive. So long term, this is a recognized electricity that's got millions of customers. I remember paying, when I was broke as a joke, and I was working. I used to work at a company as a freight company. Right, my job was I used to work it's a freight company, right? And they distribute all the freight. They get it from interstate, other states, and then they bring it into the state. And then my job was to sort the freight. So all the boxes that would come in, I would have to sort them into different destinations. That was my job. So it was very manual. And I lived in a place in Brisbane called Woodridge. All right, Woodridge is a funny place. I would say it's probably the equivalent to the Bronx in New York. Okay, so very colorful place, but the standard of living is very low. Okay, if I want to compare it that way, there's a lot of good places in the Bronx, but if you know what I mean, right? The cost of living is very low, lower than most other suburbs. So it's a suburb that's got a low, high crime and low kind of standard of living, if you want to say it. And we had to pay our Origin bill, and it was I can't remember what it was. It was like, it wasn't much, but I remember doing that. I remember that, visualizing back in that moment, living there, because the rent was $45 a week, and me and my mate rented a room for $90 a week. And back then that was considered cheap, because the average rent was around, well, back then it was about $300 to $400 a week, and we were paying $45 each, which got us this one-bedroom apartment. It cost us $90 a week. It's quite ironic, because now I'm living in Thailand. This place we rent is $80 a month. So, I've come a long way, right? But anyway, I remember paying that Origin bill, right? And Origin, they're massive. So this, going through the whole point of Origin now hooking up with Power Ledger. Long term, I see that this is going to the moon, right? This might take 12 months, but it could 20x, but it's going to take time. Maybe 18 months. It's going to take time. So Power Ledger is a good one. It's just that the way that this ICO stage has gone, it's sort of left a bit of taste in some people's mouth, because they bought it at the pre-sale, and now the main sale people are getting it cheaper than the pre-sale people, which is a bit of a bummer. But I mean, I don't mind. I'm still going to make my money on this for sure. So if you're still thinking about Power Ledger, obviously, do your due diligence. I'm not telling you to invest in it. I invested in it, but I'm not telling you to invest in it. This is my decision, my financial decision. So research it. But in my opinion, it's up there, right? It's right up there. And the main sale is still active, right? You don't get your tokens till up to 4 weeks after the main sale. So you got to wait for the ICO to finish. Then they're going to issue the tokens up to 4 weeks maximum after. So there you go. Now you're going to get a 5% bonus in the main sale. We're in the week 3. Thank God for that, because it's taken forever. And now the 4th week. So 2 weeks. So you're going to wait about 6 weeks at the maximum. If they release the tokens sooner, it'll be less. All right. But I think they say in the white paper they're going to release the tokens up to 4 weeks of when the main sale finishes. So anyway, that's that. So that kind of that I had to explain that all, Sean. I like that picture you took, mate. I thought that was really funny. Those two chicks giving you a kiss, and then you're like, when they discover that you have Bitcoin. But let me ask you this, Sean. Did you tell them that you're doing ICOs? What would they have done to you if you knew that? But that'll come later, mate. That'll become later. All right. So hopefully you'll make a bunch of money with that. So yeah, Tommy, mate, what happened? We missed you last night. You were there for a little while, and then you dropped off. Probably, I know you're having experiencing with audio, with internet there. So the replay will be up. The replay is going to be up either tonight or tomorrow. Okay, with the ICO Gold Rush members that missed the replay. I know that the time frames are not there, with everyone. So we just try to, accommodate for everyone, I guess. But the replay will be up here. It's a very good session. It's 2 hour, nearly 2 hours long, but it's worth watching it because I think about halfway through it, I do the evaluation, and that's really valuable. Again, when I started ICO Gold Rush, I wanted to deliver the value to the members. So at this point in time, we're going through the process of we've launched the product. People have bought into the product, and now they're, buying their own ICOs. They've gone through the training. They've got the Slack group there. We've got the webinars there as well for support. And now many people are buying their own ICOs. Okay, so they're getting a feel of what we're doing and how to evaluate and what other people are doing, and watching the webinars, going on the webinars, getting the value from the webinars, and then now they're starting to figure it out that, what to do and how much to invest based on what they feel is the right investment for them. Obviously, it's they're making an investment, so they have to be comfortable with that investment, feel confident with the decision, go into a couple of ICOs, get their feet wet, and then it'll take about 2 months from when you buy the ICO to when you can cash out, roughly speaking. Okay, so this process is a slow process. It's not, it can be fast money, but it's a good process because it's a slow process. But then you're building multiple ICOs up, and then you get to a point where you're going to be cashing out as you're buying. Every week you're going to be cashing out. Every week you're going to be buying. You're going to flip that ether over multiple times. But right now, most of the people are just buying. They haven't got to a point where they're cashing out yet. So this will probably happen in another month's time, where you get to a point where then you can start to cash out. And we discussed the reasons on how and why that and how that can come about faster last night on the webinar. So you can watch the replay. And then once you get to the point where you're cashing out, you've already bought, 2 months prior or a month prior, the ICOs that are all moving. Think of it as an assembly line, right? A conveyor belt. Okay? So you're buying ICOs, they're moving along, and then as they get to the end, you're cashing out. But then you're buying more ICOs. So try to not to have a gap, because you try to buy ICOs every sort of 2 or 3 days. So then as the conveyor belt moves along, and you go from buying the ICOs towards when you cash out, there has to be a period of time that you have to wait. There's no big gaps. And then when you get to the point to the end where you're cashing, you're buying, cashing out, buying, flipping, cashing out, buying, flipping, a big conveyor belt. And then when you get to that point, you'll be making money. Every week you'll be getting money. Yeah. Then you'll be putting in more and doubling it up, getting into more ICOs, and then you get to a point where the cash flow is a lot more consistent, and hopefully you're at least minimum doubling your money, and then just building up to a point where then you get to you can go into ICOs and go 10, 20, 30 ether, 50 ether. That's don't think that you can't do that. If you flip your ICOs and start to cash out, you can definitely do that. And then once you get to the stage where you're playing in that sort of territory where you're putting in 20 or 30 or 50 ether, and it's a good ICO and you can double your money fairly quickly, you're getting 50, you're putting in 50, potentially getting 100 back. You're starting to play in the big leagues, and it doesn't take long. It's just a matter of getting your first ones out of the road. Okay, so a lot there. There's a lot to think about, and it's something to think about when you get into the course, which will open back up in November. And I think it's important that because we're learning so much more stuff now, there's so much to keep up with. And I mean, you can go it alone, that's fine, but if you've got a whole community there to help you and back you up, you're going to get further on down the track in your journey a lot faster. I guarantee you that. All right. So with that said, guys, thanks everyone for tuning in today. Appreciate that. Yep. Brian's excited, obviously. Hi, Linda. Yep. Linda. Yep. Linda's she's holding hers. Yeah, I think too as well. Power Ledge is like it's like an Aussie one, right? You know, we all know. We read the news up on it. And we all know it's a legit one, and it's got a physical project, a physical, tangible project, right? That's with Power Ledger. So Brian says our community is the best. Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, guys, we're I'll let you guys go to Tuesday morning, and have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream, right? All right, guys, catch you guys later. See yous.